Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. I am so excited for today's video for a number of reasons. It is me being a little late to the game in some respects, but also ahead of the game in other ways. And I'm just really excited to talk about it and get it out there in the open. I am so excited that there has been a new piece of the Demon House documentary released. So for those of you who don't know, on January 1st of this year, so literally like not even 2 weeks ago, Zak Bagans released the Demon House The Lost Footage, which was a 45-minute basically mini episode.
I need to talk to just spirits that know about this house. Was anybody ever murdered in this house? Yes or no? Yes.
Highlighting things that happened during the filming of the Demon House documentary that took him 3 years to complete. And I actually hadn't watched the documentary for a number of reasons. One being that I don't have television. And so a couple of days ago, after my roommate sent me the link announcing that the Lost Footage had came out, we decided we were going to sit down and actually watch the Demon House documentary and the Lost Footage all in one go and in the same night, which we did. And I have so many thoughts, so many questions, so many concerns, and just a lot of things that I would like to say about it. Now, for those of you who do not know, I am a huge fan of Zak. I'm a huge fan of the Ghost Adventures crew. I'm a huge fan of a lot of TV shows like that. And I've had a love-hate relationship with Ghost Adventures for the last 14 seasons. I don't even know what number they're on now. Simply for the fact that, and we talked about this a lot after we watched the documentary, but their crew is very dynamic. And in a lot of ways, Zak is a very emotionally driven person. And I can sometimes find him being a little over dramatic, which is not a bad thing. But I think that with him being a very emotionally driven person and Aaron being a very easily scared and over dramatic person, their personalities in some of the episodes just like overwhelm me and I can't watch them. So I think now that Jay and Billy are on TV a lot more, it kind of helps smooth out that dynamic. And they are skeptics and they are believers. And I'm just pointing this out because it does come into play when I'm explaining the whole Demon House thing. I love those boys. I think that they have done a lot of investigating in a lot of places, and they have come up with a lot of information, and they've filmed a lot of things. One of the things that I wanted to mention was that if you haven't seen the Demon House documentary, it is 2 hours long, and it's a lot. If you don't know the whole story behind the Demon House, I'll do a quick summary. Back 2011, 2012, there was a family being terrorized in a house in Indiana, and Zak actually bought the house from the current owner and then took over. The family moved out. They started dealing with the issues of the children being possessed and all of that. And Zak took over possession and decided to try and figure out what was in the house. And so the documentary that he made was about his adventure and his investigation, trying to figure out what was in the house, what was terrorizing the family, why it was specifically targeting that family, And he ran into a lot of roadblocks. I mean, a lot of roadblocks. People got hurt. He had to let people go. People quit. People got deathly ill. And people are still trying to recover from the effects of this house. Now, of course, a lot of this might just be coincidence, but there's a lot to be said for the events that have happened. I will not give away a lot of what's going on in this documentary or the lost footage. I just really wanted to talk about things that stood out to me in this video. So, first off, looking back at the Demon House documentary, I really admired how the entire thing was done, in the sense that, yes, it was still very dramatically edited and it was still very dramatically put out, but they have a lot of real reactions from people. They did a lot of investigating, and honestly, what I saw in that documentary, I would love to see applied to their TV show. They did a lot of history digging, not as much as I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have known if there were other families prior to the two that he kind of touches on in the documentary itself that had experienced anything, so that they could kind of find a better timeline of when this house may have been cursed or what have you. But just the way that they actually looked into things. They looked into, you know, what could possibly be sources for all of this happening. They used equipment. They had a lot of crew members experience a lot of things. So there was a lot more people there and a lot more guests there and that sort of thing to experience all of this stuff. So it wasn't just them, which I think makes it a lot different in a lot of ways. Then the other thing that I actually really liked is, like I had mentioned before I started all of this, is that they have very differentiating personalities. For the first time, I think I've genuinely seen in Zak during this documentary and the lost footage was fear and genuine, actual terror.
Get away from me. Get away. Back the fuck up.
Somebody get over here.
And reactions that were not overly portrayed. What I saw was him actually being truthful and a human being about the way that he was reacting to things, especially regarding the freak out that Adam has in the hotel.
I want to go to the house, man.
How are you, fucker?
Whatever is affecting him, he's taunting it to do more.
I'm not your fucker!
Dude, what's wrong?
I want to go to the house, man. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit.
What's
Not
going on?
gonna fuck with me like that. Fuck that.
What's in the elevator?
Nothing. Nothing. It's a bitch. If there's anything here, it's a bitch. Here? Fucker? Huh?
What is wrong with him?
Have you ever seen him like that before, Jay?
No, never.
How long have you known him?
Years? Alright, what's up? The door's open.
That was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
How everything is approached. The other thing that I really find myself doing while watching the show is that I do find myself looking at Billy and Jay's reactions. Because they are skeptical about things that are happening around them, I find them a lot more reliable when things are actually happening for them to react in a way that would be truthful and not overreactive. So to see the fear and the terror on Billy's face, on Jay's face, on the rest of the crew members who have also mentioned that they are skeptical themselves, just really solidified all of the detail and all of the events that were happening during the filming of the documentary, which I found was really refreshing. A lot of people still think that this was faked. And if it was, they went through a hell of a lot of stuff to even start to fake it. Which really actually leads me to believe that this was not something that was faked. During the lost footage, what really was missing, I guess, in my sense, slight spoiler alert, is that I actually do agree. I really wish that they had shown more of Zak in the house when he barricaded himself in before the house was torn down, and what happened that night. I really want to know what the hell growled at him. I want to know what that goat noise was and what the heck was trying to attack him. I want to know who that woman was that screamed while he was in there by himself. There are just so many variables, and it's actually really unsettling to me in a lot of ways. I don't know. In my mind and just watching it, I think they uncovered some of the most hardcore evidence that I've ever seen on any of their episodes. And it wasn't even an episode of their TV show. And this is a place that was actually legitimately hurting and damaging people's lives. So I don't want to give away too many spoilers. There are a couple of EVPs that they caught during the filming of the show that are just way too clear and way too real, I guess is the word, that I don't know. I have a hard time believing that any of this was faked. There was an instance in the lost footage where both my roommate and I were sitting there and we were just kind of watching it and everything was kind of okay. And then we both heard this noise and we both actually assumed that the noise was just a sound effect because you can always hear the like ambient music that they overlaid over everything. And we actually honestly thought it was just a sound effect that they had thrown in there during the ambient music. And it turns out that like 2 seconds later, they all reacted to that noise and actually replayed it because it was something that everybody heard with their own ears. So there was a lot covered. There was a lot captured. And I would be so interested and yet so terrified to go and see that room in Zak's museum, because he did keep the staircase and the dirt from the house before it was torn down. And I would be very terrified to actually go in that room. I would highly recommend that if anybody out there has not seen this footage yet and you want to see more of it, please do watch it. You can actually rent it here on YouTube for $3.99, I think. And you can watch it. You can also rent it on iTunes. You can buy it on iTunes, as well as, of course, look for it on the Travel Channel when they decide to air it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. This entire documentary, the footage that was captured, really leaves me questioning a lot, but also leaves me with a lot of proof that things do exist. And of course, I try and always look for the most sensible answer when things are happening to me, when things are happening to my friends. And I don't always jump to the conclusion that it's paranormal, but it's really hard to believe that it's not paranormal when you watch this documentary and about all the things that are going on, and that there's just something greater happening than we would ever imagine. Let me know what your thoughts are if you've watched both the documentary and the lost footage, if you would like to watch the documentary and the lost footage, or why you plan to never watch the documentary or the lost footage. I just want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you guys believe, what you think is real, why you think they may have faked it, and just why this crazy stuff is happening. That is it for me. Please, if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up. Turn on the subscribe button and the notification bell because I do upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm so excited to see what else might come out of this in the future. I think there is a lot of potential things that could surface out of more footage that he may release in the future. And if he does, I will be waiting patiently and very excited to see it. I love you guys all so very much, and I will catch you again in the next video.